So here we are in round 17 of Axis&Allies 1914. The Americans last round piled into Tuscany, being a little bit of a thorn to the Austrians, who of course took Rome, trying not to make it easy for the Austrians to move up here and work with the Germans to take Paris. The Austrians here are purchasing 3 subs, 11 infantry and artillery. I did make a change at the end of that last round where I had moved the battleship over here for the Italians, and I moved it back into this sea zone to take out the Austrian battleship that was going to repair and potentially be a pain in the butt to the Allies. Instead of making the mistake that we made in Constantinople, where the British were in Constantinople and it looked like they were going to take it, and we didn't keep the pressure on, allowing the Austrians to help the Ottomans and retake it. Instead, we eliminated that battleship, and now there's just that transport, which I don't like auto kills, so we had to get a hit to destroy it. The Austrians are attacking into Albania from 2 different territories, and they are attacking into Tuscany. They are going to be leaving these last 3 infantry down here, but everything else is moving into Tuscany. And that is it for the Austrians in round 17. So the Austrians did take back Tuscany, only losing a few infantry themselves. So the Americans were more just a pest or a nuisance rather than actually doing anything real. Of course, they took Albania as well, and then moved units back into Greece that were over in Bulgaria. So the Austrians looking strong and on their way up to help the Germans. The Germans are purchasing another stack of 11 infantry, a couple fighters, tank, and an artillery. They cannot attack Paris again. They have 3 infantry there. If they attack, the British have 10 infantry and the French have about 15. So they just can't do that. So instead they're going to move 2 units into Piedmont, 2 infantry attacking, and then 3 into Burgundy plus the 2, so 5 into Burgundy to attack. Everything else is going to pull back into Picardy and regroup with what's over in Belgium and prepare for whatever next round has to offer. And the Allies, we suspect, will try to move their Paris group around. But we'll find out. I kind of wanted to move a fighter out here and attack that group, but I'm not sure how many opportunities I've had to do that. But it's only the 1 fighter, and I have to get a 2 or less, and then I'm going to give them a roll of 1 for every 2 transports. I give 1 dice that is a 1. But we are not going to do it. I'm just wondering how many times I missed that opportunity where they're not bringing units, naval units over here to help defend. So that would be the German turn here in round 17. So the Germans consolidated into Picardy, and there they are with 16 infantry, 7 fighters, 6 tanks, and nearly 15 artillery. So they are primed to make another attack, whether that be Brest, Paris, or Burgundy next round. Doesn't really matter. They'll probably be able to go wherever they want. If the Allies stacked everything into Paris, the Germans may just take the free ones, Burgundy and Brest. But that is not what the Allies are going to do. Of course, Germany failed at taking Piedmont, and they failed at taking Burgundy. But the French are building all infantry, and they are going to attack 10, 11 infantry into Burgundy, plus the 1 that's there, and 1 artillery, leaving all their tanks, the rest of their artillery, and fighter in Paris. So we think that the defense of Paris will be fine with all the British and all the French infantry, but that is a decent amount to move out. That means the Germans cannot just walk in. They will have to do something to get rid of them. And then they'll move their transports back over to the East Coast. However, I'm changing once again from feeling I'm not sure who's in control here. Looks like the Central Powers are going to figure this out. Once the Americans were easily just taken over there in Tuscany, it seems not too long and the Austrians will be right here with the Germans, and it won't be long after that. But we'll see how much longer we can go until we get tired of it. That is the French plan. So the French were unsuccessful in taking Burgundy back, but they still have 10, 11 infantry plus their artillery, fighter, tanks, and whatever British help they can get left over. The British are purchasing 11 infantry, artillery, and a sub. They are going to attack from Transjordan and the Syrian desert into Smyrna, and transporting 2 units as well. That is 12 or 11 infantry, not the fighter. And you'll have the battleship to help out. And then behind that, they're just going to move some units around, try to protect Mesopotamia. However, if the Ottomans decide to try and move up into Mesopotamia, they'll have all these infantry right here on Smyrna. So more likely they will move backwards, but we'll see what they do there. Up here, it's expected that the British will move into Paris to give the Allies combined about 25 infantry. So should the Germans decide to attack Paris, at least the Allies will have a lot of fodder and they'll be able to use whatever surrounding units. That is the British plan here in round 17. Britain did move into Paris, and they have 15 infantry themselves, along with their 2 fighters in Paris. And of course, still the French and their 11 infantry, another fighter with the American fighter as well. So that gives Paris a solid defense should the Germans decide to attack there. Although as of this moment, I'm thinking the Germans are going to go after 2 territories, be it Burgundy and Brest. We will see. Down here, they were successful in taking Smyrna and have 10 infantry left. The Ottomans, nothing but infantry they're purchasing. And they're doing the same thing they did last round. They're attacking 2 infantry into the Syrian desert and everything they have at Smyrna to keep all those units off of Constantinople. Problem here is they're just going back and forth. And it looks like somewhat of a stalemate that appears that the British are going to get the upper hand if it continues like this. So the intention here is the Austrians and the group that just wiped out all the Allies down here, once again, to come to the rescue, come down here and help. Now, they will send every round something down, and I think they can afford it now, because previously they were trying not to send anything. It was like 1 infantry per turn, because they're trying to deal with Italy. Well, Italy's been dealt with. So the Austrians can send probably more than just 1 infantry. And that may be enough, because they survived before. So we'll see how the Ottomans do. The Ottomans knocked the British down all the way to 1 infantry. So they definitely got the better in that deal. But Ankara, once again, is wide open, and the British will walk in. But the British cannot accumulate that 12 stack of infantry that they had when they attacked Smyrna. They're going to have to rebuild that again, because they just don't have that prepared. The Italians were not quite ready to skip. They're moving the transport from Sea Zone 16 over here. So there's 2 American infantry. And they're going to attack with their battleship and cruiser in that sea zone. The thought when the Americans moved in was just to eliminate the Navy, and then they wouldn't have to worry about it at all. Kind of what happened over here with the Ottomans. The Ottomans didn't have enough money to put any money into Navy. Still don't really. But the Austrians do. Even though the majority of the game, they were not adding anything to it. But now that they have a little extra money due to Italy, they can put 2-3 submarines per turn. So we'll see if they can finish them off this round and see what the Austrians do with that. But this sea zone here is quite a bit bare. And all these Austrian fighters that are right here on the sea zone can jump in here and sink transports. So we'll see how that goes after the Austrian, or rather Italian, turn. So the Italians did knock down 2 Austrian submarines, damaged their own battleship in the process. The Americans, not much they can do. They can transport all these units somewhere, combined with these 2. If they attack, Rome is takeable, but taking it means they're just going to lose it anyway. So, do we take something down here? The same thing applies. It may not happen right away, but you're just going to lose it unless you can reinforce it. We can move them up here into Piedmont with the other American, but that's about to get hit by Venice and Tuscany. Going to lose that as well. You could put them in Marseille or Bordeaux and head them up to help France. That just means we're taking all these transports back to the East Coast. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to land them in Egypt, because they can't get all the way over here to Transjordan. So we're going to land them in Egypt, and they are going to assist the British with the Ottomans, potentially being utilized in transport some way in later rounds, but we'll see how that goes. Outside of that, the Americans are buying 9 infantry. And the reason they're only buying 9 infantry, or rather, that's all they can afford, but they're going to have 5 transports on the East Coast. So you got to be able to fill them. I don't like having transports with nothing to do. So that will be the end of round 17. And we'll be heading into round 18, and I'm feeling like Central Powers have this thing locked down. But I'd still like to see how some of these confrontations here with Paris and the surrounding area are going to go. If the Germans decide to split their group up and attack, or go straight back into Paris again. We'll find out.